right. It is now time for raising funds for World Domination, day number 126. Orthoplex 64. How's it going? OOO. B2N to each. How's it going? So, once again, standard intro hasn't changed. Counting down the days, so almost getting close, about just over a week off of 1 month away from the next hearing. Which is nice. It's been I've had a decent chunk of time. I guess it was over a year, and it was see, what was it? April 30th of 2024, I think. That was when I got the first N13, so it's, well over a year. I'm still here. So today we're going to continue work toward the next release of the Terminal block mining simulation game. Once again, I'm working on another video during the day. I'm still kind of I'm getting back into working on the script. I'd say I'm 70% done the script. Honestly, it's not long. I'm just kind of struggling with trying to figure out how to convey a lot of information in a small number of words. So what's the next work for the block mining game? So I have on here fix help menu. Oh, actually, I think that was easy. I just made a small change after the stream. I just did like layer.initialize, and that fixed that. Fix top left-hand corner test printing. So that's, I thought I fixed that a couple of days ago, and then last night I saw that bug appearing again, and then after the stream I thought, I could probably just fix that quick again, and then I couldn't reproduce it. So we'll see if that appears again today. If it does, we'll try to fix that. So that is the very last remaining regression I want to fix before the next release. And as for profiling, for where the remaining slowness comes from, there were some quick wins. I already implemented those. The circular buffer backing for screen area, that I was going to do, because at one time that was the biggest source of slowdown. But right now, so I profiled it, and the calculate occlusions function, that is actually where a significant percentage of the slowdown is. So I'm going to work on more refactoring to the screen layers, which should be a bit easier now, because it's I can kind of turn off my brain, and as long as the test cases pass, it should be good, because I have so much test case coverage for that. And then the region iteration speed up change, that I was going to do, because a long time ago, last time I profiled, I think that was a significant contributor to slowdown, but at the moment it's the calculate occlusions function. So will the bug appear tonight? The bug I'm talking about is when I print a test character to try and measure the width, I print it to the top left-hand corner. And what the code is supposed to do is, after it figures out the width, see that up there? It's supposed to rewrite it, which it did correctly. But at some point, something happened that caused that to not work? Maybe it's fixed. All right, I'll keep an eye on it. Okay, this help menu is fixed. I think basically everything is working now. All of the crazy and I removed that printing of nulls. Actually, I changed it so that if there's a null character, it just prints black. Look at that, flawless. Git bisect. At this point, I think it's not a. It's not necessarily like a new problem that was introduced. In this build, I don't see the problem, so I'll just keep an eye on it. It might just be part of a race condition. So that's pretty fast on this machine, ironically. On my other computer, it's actually quite slow. No regression testing pipeline. There's no like I don't have like an automatic integration test that runs, but I do have pretty extensive. Let's go ahead and run those now for good measure, because I'm actually gonna. Oh wow! Speaking of failing tests. There we go. Oh, I think I added a parameter to that. I thought I had an overload. There's an overloaded method for that. Oh, I changed it to a. I used to have a Boolean, and I changed it to an enum. And I did not update the test. Actually, I may have updated it, but I forgot to merge it over. That's probably what happened. Seems like such a basic thing to tell me how long it took to run the test. Execution time is a pretty fundamental thing. Are you using a Linux phone? I use Android. I just use the basic whatever. I don't actually use my phone all that much. They're doing awk-f. So that would be the sixth column that's in quotes. I guess that does the trick. So 130 seconds. Let's see what the variance on that is. So it'll just be useful to keep an idea on whether my refactoring changes make it slower or not. I think I'm going to start with, I'm going to add some like setters and getters for the screen layer members. MDE explains x86 says hi. How's it going? So last time this took 130 seconds, and we'll see, theoretically, it should take the exact same amount of time. 130, I think it's 130.446. $128. That was the exact same test, so looks like the variance can be on the order of 2 seconds or so. So a 2 second change is just jitter. All right, tests fixed. One's 45821 says, howdy Romp. Hope your night's going better than mine. My nights, I can't complain about this night, so I guess that's probably true. It's it sucks. I hope it's by not having a good night. I hope it's not too bad. There's I mean, judging by the news these days, there's some pretty crappy stuff going on to a lot of people in the world right now, in many different countries. If you turn off the news, it goes away. I can't help it though. It's I mean, like there's so much unprecedented stuff happening. I feel like I have an obligation. I'm not a fan of people who bury their head in the sand. But I mean, in some ways, you could argue like it doesn't really affect you and stuff. But in a lot of ways, it does. If the economy collapses, then I gotta have a heads up on that. Can't help it either. Yeah. I'm mentally unstable lately. Is it because of the news? If police know what I did, I'd go to jail immediately, even prison. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. Well, maybe you should not do whatever that is and seek some help. I don't know what to advise you on that. Should I turn myself? Turn yourself in? Yeah, probably. Honesty is the best policy. Now, let's work on refactoring this screen layer merging algorithm. So I'll probably start with maybe the active flag. you feel safer here. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, man. I'm unqualified to offer you advice on this topic. I wish technology evolves so you would give me a hug remotely through the internet. Well, I don't know. Technology has its limits. Yeah, I don't know. MDE explains x86. I mean, if you're being serious and not trolling, you probably want to talk to a lawyer. This is it's not really an internet conversation. I mean, one redeeming thing from what we described on the news today, I mean, there's constantly people doing bad stuff on the news and they don't get punished for it, which is not a good thing. But, you know, in these days, even if you do commit a crime, sometimes you don't even get a big punishment for it. But like I said, talk to a lawyer about whatever that is. Join friends like you guys do. Internet gives me anonymity. Yeah, like I said, if you're serious and not trolling, go talk to a lawyer about whatever that is. you'll get much better advice than here. I think that the conversation about having an or named is not really relevant here. Assuming that's a real, assuming NDE explains is serious, it's not a. Yeah, if you get, I mean, you may have two issues. Maybe you, like you could probably talk to. There's like people talk about like getting therapy, but if you have like a serious, dilemma in sorting out your life, you could talk to, there's like counselors or something. I think it's like public, like social workers or whatever, who can like help you sit down and just like they can refer you to like people who can just give you like basic free legal advice, or who to talk to and like to resolve certain issues. So like they can refer you to other, free government services. They probably won't be good quality, but at least they can help you sort some stuff out. I guess you could probably do that. You could probably even just Google like, so free social worker advice, or I guess if you talk to like some kind of free therapist or like an actual government one or something, they could probably, if you explain what your problem is, they could probably identify what resources, public defender or counseling or whatever kind of thing. But other than that, it's not really relevant for this chat here, unless it has to do with computer programming or finding jobs or physics, or it's not really what I want to keep the channel about. I'm thinking of starting my own business like you. What platforms would you recommend selling products? I'm thinking of Gumroad. I'm not familiar with. I've heard that name before. What is on? What kind of stuff is it? Like Etsy or something? I guess there's for starting a business, there's millions of small pieces of advice. Though I think the way you approach the business probably depends on like what your goals are and how much capital you capital you have to start with. I'd say probably the best thing. It's probably also worth reflecting on, like, are you doing the business? Are you starting a business because of are the goals for the business kind of like ideological, or is it like for pleasure, or for you want to like test your abilities or something, or is it strictly like you want to maximize profit? Because that can determine how you go about it. Either way, I think if you want to if you want to make sure you make money, the best is to kind of like start small with just experiments. Should have clarified. Like courses. I had an idea to make programming challenges to test mastery and teach debugging skills instead of dumb online tutorials that waste people's time. I think making money on that these days is going to be very difficult because there's so much. Like there was, during peak COVID era when they were hiring tons of developers, there were people making a killing on doing selling like programming courses, like bootcamp courses and stuff around that time. These days, though, I think a lot of those have kind of crashed off. There's so much better content on YouTube and stuff, and there's all kinds of you see those ads for brilliant.org and stuff. And to compete with how much content they have is going to be difficult. So the way to get started is it's going to require a lot of, like, unless you have massive amounts, like hundreds of thousands of dollars to invest in this, the way to bootstrap it would be to build start it with like content marketing. So it would be something basically like what I'm doing right now. So make YouTube videos and be present on social media talking about stuff, and then you could just make videos about like making your courses, or you could do, you could make the content on a live stream, and then people drop in and be like, hey, what's this? And then you could explain it, and then it becomes a sales pitch. Kind of just like right now, how I can suggest everyone become a channel member and like and subscribe. And I think that's kind of how modern marketing is going these days. A lot of people like hate on influencers because they say it's like they think of it as just like a selfish desire to get famous. But in my opinion, the success model is more, it's about like this is how modern marketing is. Like nobody hands out flyers or anything like that anymore. Or the old classical ways of, like taking an ad on television, that doesn't exist anymore. Learning for me, but I like to promote people to self-learn program. Yeah, I like, sometimes you can get really big wins financially. Like if you try out a certain platform or something when it's new and like no one's really heard of it, because sometimes if there's just demand there. My strategy would be like, I think a lot of businesses like putting out feelers. So you're like you'll be like, okay, I'm gonna invest like 10 hours into setting up this thing, and then just see if you get sales. And if you put if you put basically no effort into it, if you put like 10 hours into it, and then you get one sale, there might actually be something there, because then you can put a bit more hours into it and see if there's like there's an actual payoff from investing more effort into it. Because the way to waste a tremendous amount of time is to spend like months and months and months building content for it or something, and building this amazing thing, and then you do like spend months working on it. Then you're on launch day, you're like, okay, it's launched, everyone come buy my thing. And then on your launch day, nobody cares and you have no traffic, and then that's it, and you have no way to get sales. And then you have to learn about marketing. Achieve profitability fast, and keep operating overhead into very small. Run a lean business at first. Yeah, if it's a hobby thing, you can if you already have a primary source of income from something else, then that kind of frees you up to just experiment. And then if the way to quit your job would be if suddenly you start seeing like massive sustainable growth. Sometimes too, you can have a short-term success if you write a blog post and submit it to Hacker News or something, or you have one viral video and you get a whole bunch of new users. But media is it's a continuous game. You have to constantly be putting out new stuff and going viral over and over again to keep the traffic in. Used to have those cool Powers of 2 challenges. That was fun. Yeah. I think I kind of reached the limit on those. I guess that was interesting to test out. Maybe around Christmas or something, I'll come up with some fun things. The traffic overall is down quite a bit on the channel. But I'm getting close to. I need to do a bit more marketing push to raise some new revenue. Get the channel numbers up. I'm getting closer to the next release of this thing, so I've been brainstorming some ideas for new ways to bring in a bit more revenue. See those 13-hour long tutorials that show beginning how to use printf features like Hello World? It's like tricking beginners or wannabes. I've started making content. Yeah, there's a lot to say about the content on people's channels. I've come to the conclusion to like if you look at someone's top video, often someone's top video will have like 100 or 1,000 times more than like their average video, especially for programming content. And I think that's not necessarily indicative of every piece of content of that type. And I think what actually is, I think the YouTube algorithm, I've started calling it like the lead-in video, where I think that what the YouTube algorithm does is it determines what video it should show someone to have the maximum likelihood of getting that person to watch another video on the person's channel. And so by virtue of that, because that video has such a massive drop off, because most people watch that video and then that's the only one from the channel they watch, you'll see like a lot of those, someone will just have like some, I don't know, it's somehow iconic or representative of their channel, but it's also pretty good. It's kind of like, it's at least not bad. And that video will have like a crazy huge number of views. Like on my channel, the how to make a CPU one, that one's quite disproportionate. But maybe if you look at the awk video, that one has like 100 times more than a lot of the other Linux ones. And I think what it is YouTube will show that one, and if you like the awk video, then you'll watch a bunch of the other Linux videos. And so it may be that most of my other Linux videos are like the awk video is better, but it's only like 10% better than the other ones. So it's what I'm saying by that is you may make a similar video, and especially if you don't have a big audience already, you only get like 10 views on it, but you spend like 13 hours making it. Is the Clippy icon part of the movement? Rossmann movement? I guess. Your releases need features, which is actually not just bug fixes. More features, please. Yeah, I know. The problem is, I'm very much of the opinion that it has to work correctly. That's one of the most annoying things is when you it's already such a restrictive environment, or it's very minimalist user interface, and a lot of the fixes and stuff that I just did, like this 40 days of refactoring the screen layer merging, that will facilitate adding a lot more other features pretty quickly in the future. So really it doesn't, by itself, it doesn't create a feature, but it facilitates adding a new feature quickly. Microsoft has proven the buggy feature-rich products make you rich. Yeah, my philosophy is actually, I try to do like a. What I'll do is like to add features fast, I will cut a lot of corners and add bugs and stuff. Like actually, if you go back a couple of versions. I think the first version of this game where I had the help menu, that was like basically on the verge of crashing, and I had like 5,000 null pointer checks, and it was just like the most unelegant thing possible. But the version that you see now, basically it looks identical, but it has all those bugs. It's been generalized, so I can. Like when I added the help menu and some of the other frame stuff here, like it was pushing the limits. There were so many times when I'd move a piece of code that should not cause it to crash, and it would start crashing. I would change where a printf statement was, or a print text statement was, and then it would start crashing. And so developing with that, like the bugs, just the system has to be stable enough to like develop new features. Comments keep getting censored. By the way, Robert videos very funny. It's impressive skill to translate humor Do video media like YouTube? Yeah, actually it takes quite a bit of writing and thought process to make sure it's like to make it informative and funny. Actually, that's kind of why that's why it takes me so long to get anything done. I've been I think on the date code I started the current video I'm working on. I started on the 9th, and here it is the 28th, and I'm still working on it. But hopefully it should be a high quality video that'll pop off. It has lots of detail in it. I could probably do this with a regex. It's going to be a crazy regex. Oh boy, I can barely read that now. Good thing I have a ton of experience reading regular expressions. copy that in case it gets swallowed. Okay, that's so any character that's not at the end bracket. Oh no, wait, that does go in there. All right, let's try a simpler variation. Okay, that picks that up. Why not this? All right, that gets picked up. There we go. I will use this throughout my refactoring. Yeah, it's interesting. Your comments get censored. You're only talking about business stuff. It's random how the YouTube algorithm works. People can come here and swear and stuff, but if you talk about, I don't know. I'd really like to understand why some of the innocent things here get censored. Anti-corpo. Yeah, it's anti-competitive. They don't want people talking about trying to escape the matrix. They want everyone to stay in their wagey cage. Checking what words are triggering it. Too much tech or cybersecurity news. Yeah, I mean, like a lot of independent news. I guess whatever comes up in my recommendations and stuff. Corporal is from Cyberpunk 2077. Video game, but faster than listing all the corporations. Yeah, I'm aware of that game. I know it was really popular when it came out because the graphics were so cool and stuff. I never played it though. Well, that's not good. I broke something. Oh, I may have had a bug in this all along, in this validation function. I'm interested to see if this has any performance impact. So last time I ran this, it was 130 seconds and then 128 the second time. Hate when people play music during streams, like royalty-free music. I hate 8-bit music. I can't stand. Yes, actually, some people have. I've had more recommendations for. I guess people who don't want music probably wouldn't point that out, but as much. But I have had a few people ask, suggest I should put on some music. But the problem is, so much music, like it'll say it's royalty free or whatever, but I think that's like a whole scam tactic too. You just make a bunch of music, make some like garbage AI generated music, then copyright it, and then put it out there as copyright free, and then a bunch of people would use it, and then you content ID claim them, and you can, like, if you do that at scale, you can steal, like, a few dollars a day. $125. That's good. That's faster. I'll take that. You created a music generator from random inputs. Yeah, I could use that. It's not very good music though. Suggest Subway Surfer. And at the bottom of the stream. Yeah, there's an idea. Or I guess what I really need is actually I could make a bot for my block mining game where just like it randomly moves around and mines things. That would be even better. It would be free advertisement for my game. Now Mozart, but it's up there. It's a Nintendo chiptune. Yeah, I'm sure with given how simple it is, you could probably, it wouldn't be too difficult to to maybe add some intelligence to make it even better, instead of just like randomly playing notes on the scale. Okay, that was the active flag. Now let's do the changed flag. This one will be more complicated. Pre-recorded songs of you humming and singing pop songs. It avoids copyright because it's cover. I think last time I googled that, I seem to recall it can be like debatable whether you have to pay royalties to do a cover or not. Although I think that's I mean, with AI now, AI is going to like destroy copyright. anything to say to students going back to university next week? I don't know. There's many things that I could say. Consider a career in plumbing? I don't know. I mean, you've even heard, like I called that one plumber, and they're like, we're always looking for people. But then again, people don't want to pay. And I've heard other anecdotal stories that, like, if you search YouTube, there's tons of videos where people say being a plumber is also a terrible profession. I would say for the first week is one of the best times to like meet people, because the first week is it depends on where you go, but that's kind of one of the only times. That's like when you're still just getting assignments and stuff. So maybe first week or two, or first weekend is I think a prime time for networking and stuff like that, because if you wait until after that to start networking, it's a bit harder to get traction, because everyone is, you'll say like, hey, let's do this thing. They're like, nah, sorry, I have an assignment. But the first day, nobody can say that, because no one has an assignment. And if they do, they could be like, you got tons of time. Only one compile error. Nice. That would be nice if this is even faster. I'm not exactly sure how the JVM optimizes and stuff. I would assume I googled for it a bit, and I think that having like getters and setters doesn't slow things down. I saw one thing where someone said they did a benchmark and it was actually faster to have getters and setters. So hopefully that is the case. $124. Maybe it will be faster. In a few years, someone will have to program the AI that controls robot plumbers. So maybe it will all be a singularity. Yeah, I don't know. Society, in my opinion, society just keeps getting more and more insane. Like, it doesn't, things are not getting better, they're getting more insane. Because we have all this, like, automation, we keep talking about efficiency, but if you just, like, walk outside anywhere, things are so much less efficient now than they were in, like, 1990. Like, when are we going to have robots that build houses for all the homeless people? We don't really seem to be going towards that. We have like innovation in the private equity space that buys up plumbing companies and then makes all their work terrible. And I saw a video yesterday of private equities like buying up all these. I mean, it's kind of getting scary. They're buying up all these like medical facilities, and the doctors there have these like long-term patients they've had for like 15 years. They've been treating like old people with cancer and stuff, and because of non-disclosure agreements, the doctors legally are required to just like ghost all of their patients, because now they have to switch them to like, you know, some cheaper doctor because a private equity firm bought them up. But in some cases, the doctors are required to ghost their patients, not tell them, and then the private equity firm will like replace the doctor with no one, so that like even they're not benefiting from it. If we got serious about housing, it could just not even be a thing. Instead of being the only thing, yeah. Yes, if people are just able to like, you know, work and make a productive economy, that would make GDP go up so much. Like think about how much. Think about how much the U.S. military would benefit if people who like, you know, all these scientists and stuff like that work at all these advanced research labs, if they didn't have so much trouble getting housing. Canada copies US problems, and then shows us what an extreme version looks like. Yeah, I mean, it almost seems like the government kind of like, it could be a conspiracy theory, or maybe it's even proven fact that they just, if they want to experiment with something, like a different economic model, just like infiltrate some foreign country and pass the law there and just see what happens. And if it works, then they can bring it back home. Where I live, everything is hunky-dory. Our state's economy has been resilient. In the worst times, things are relatively cheap. Things I see going elsewhere seem like a really bad reality show. Yeah, I mean, there's pockets of stability. I think overall the trajectory of where things are going, at least around here, is negative. But like if you walk down to like in this building, there's some really depressing stories of old people struggling in this building. But then if you just walk outside and like walk down the street, like just over there, there's it's a really nice subdivision with a because they're probably like $1 million houses now, and like a bunch of kids and people sitting out in their backyard having campfires and stuff. And there's not that much homeless, but then in the last few years I have gone out a few times, and there's like random yelling people, and there's a schizophrenic guy down over there who like always he yells about like the Chinese and the Germans and stuff and all this like sometimes he actually yells at me when I go for a run. And he's not harmful, but it's kind of sketchy. He's like always yelling racial slurs and stuff like that at people as they walk by. So there's like pockets of stability, and then you get pockets of insanity, and the insanity is like it's increasing. So maybe it'll slow down and stop and then reverse at some point, or maybe we'll just get more and more insane every year. That it remains to be seen. And then the insanity will spread to even the stable places. All right, hopefully this will be even faster. If it is, that's kind of an unexpected surprise. I didn't actually expect setters and getters would be faster. Are your test runs bottlenecked by terminal scrolling? They probably are. Well, I guess if I'm not sure what the variance is on these test runs. I ran an identical test twice at the start, and at first it was 130 seconds and then 128 seconds with an identical test. So a few seconds of jitters expected. And then I started making some of these changes, and it went down to 125 and then 124. So we'll see what it is this time. Oh, that is slightly faster. I think it was a 124.9 something. So at least it's not going up. That's great. Right, so I've done. Now let's do color codes. How fast? If you dev null it, yeah, I could probably test that now, even with my changes, because I haven't built them yet. I'll just test that in a sec. Did that actually finish? I don't really believe that. That was instantaneous. It actually, never mind. Compilation failed. Okay, let's test it for real this time. Still taking a decent amount of time. That's weird how the concurrent viewers doesn't match between over on the left hand side and the bottom. Oh, there we go. 67. Yeah, so it's about half. Have you designed any MMORPGs? I've never designed an MMORPG, but I've done a lot of like networking stuff for like for like IoT servers and stuff. For like I had to work on optimizing and improving a backend server that processed and multiplexed packets from a whole bunch of like thousands of IoT devices, and I've also done some distributed systems courses and done lots of stuff with like operating system blocking. So I think I'm well suited to build something that probably could support a decent number of players. But we'll see. The long-term goal will be to actually make the block mining game multiplayer. But the more I think about it, it's going to be so much work to get it like production ready, because it needs not only the client but the server and I'll probably honestly getting high performance out of that. Like there's a lot of like tricks of the trade that I think people learn about, like how to make it as optimal as possible. I would probably make it I'd probably start with making it like very correct and very slow. So like it would be TCP, no UDP packets or anything. It would all be like very like thorough transaction resolution and stuff like that. I'd probably build that first, and then if that is like performance or usability issues, just fix them as is and make compromises where necessary. Going to keep quiet about pink and puppies today, so as to not cause distraction. Oh, did you see my community post? I got the pink theme working. I went ahead and I did a bunch of refactoring, so to make it, to kind of add some of the functionalities for arbitrary support. Let's see, I can probably just do git stash. Okay, I'll show you a live demo right now. So let me go into user interface. So now, so if you change, if you clone it and then you change this to pink, and then build, you should get the a kawaii pastel dream. I don't like it. It's hard to read. There you go. Terminal-based. A kawaii terminal-based video game. Sometimes you have to sacrifice functionality for fashion, I guess. Yeah, so it's pretty consistent. I can't even read that at all. It's hard in the eyes. You love it? It's all yours. You can clone it from GitHub. Eventually, if I have more color themes, I might add like a menu option, so you can select it at runtime. But for now, it's just a compile flag. Now let's get that off the screen. Actually, it was implementing that it forced me to learn how to create these like arbitrary selectable RGB escape sequences. I did not know you could do this before trying that. I can read it well. Maybe you're colorblind. It's just it's too bright. I guess I was in a darker area and my eyes were adjusted. I'm used to looking at the dark, high contrast. All right, back to refactoring. We don't need equal pay. We just need pink. Thanks for caring about gender equality. Yep. That'll cost you what is it, 33% of your paycheck for that pink. Or 23%. I can't remember the number. It's okay, we're very used to the pink tax. Yeah, it's I mean, even going back to antiquity, that's that pink dye. It's just so expensive. That's why we need the extra money for it. Have you seen the thing where pink actually used to be masculine color? Bad boys would specifically be dressed in pink. I'm not aware of this, but it wouldn't surprise me if there was some like in which culture and how far back do you have to go for that? Western culture, 17th and 18th century. We've seen this masculine as that is a form of red. And apparently red is masculine. And that wealth and power wore pink in the 18th and 19th century. And purple, purple dyes, I remember, were much more expensive, so they were associated with royalty back then. Hey boss, are we making Minecraft? No, we're actually making something better than Minecraft. It's a terminal-based video game where you mine blocks in the terminal, just like this. And I recently got some screen improvements done to fix all the bugs. Now we're working on performance improvements. Maybe since UH will be wealthy. I mean the Axel Heiberg. Everyone can wear pink. Yeah, it's a possibility. In a way, it is kind of interesting how a color became associated with a gender. Comments on your community post are so good. You have awesome fans. Yeah, it's there's a couple unhinged ones sometimes, but I gotta get more content out. I guess it would be kind of good if there was more of a, I don't know, something where people could interact with each other. The Discord is pretty quiet. There's not really a lot going on there. Real TTY style? Does it use a special font for rendering nice pictures? It uses emoji characters. So whatever the default built-in is. It has. So what it does, it actually just looks at the like terminal detection is pretty bad right now. It just checks the term variable, and if it's I think if it contains the string X term, so it has two modes you can run it in, and you can explicitly tell it to run in the pure ASCII mode if you want. So I guess so you can use ASCII, and now you get this is the pure ASCII mode. So this one will run in the pure TTY. So you can run this like in the Linux console, and it just uses like the standard 8 colors. But if you want to explicitly say run it in the emojis mode, then it'll actually issue the Unicode characters for the blocks. So everything is just a block. And in the ASCII mode, it just uses the first letter of the class name associated with the block. If you get bigger, I'll start a Robert Elder server for women and non-binary fans. Yeah, I think if people want to make their own, like given what I've seen so far, I anticipate that some people will not like certain people's politics and stuff, and personally I don't. As long as people are not planning illegal stuff there or something, or doing really bad stuff, I don't really care what kind of political memes and stuff people want to post. But if there's a bunch of people who disagree, then I think that's kind of one of the values of that's one of the things people are seeking from social media, just to find some kind of community of other people. And it doesn't even need to I don't even really need to be associated with it. It could just be like a pointer or a reference. Nice. Minecraft days are numbered. Yep. Didn't join your server, so I figured no one wants to hear my politics. I don't want to hear theirs. Yeah, maybe. I'm. One of the problems was today is that politics is becoming unavoidable. Like there's certain. We've got some significant social issues in society, and it used to be you could kind of like avoid them, but now they're like, you know, when it comes down to stuff like housing policy. All right, this works. Yeah, it's kind of it's like a luxury of the past. Like in the past, you didn't really need to think about. Like it was possible to get through life without saying you don't have an opinion on it, but with the way public policy is changing, it's becoming unavoidable. And apparently that's becoming a bigger thing for that's being cited as an increasing problem in the dating market, where increasingly people, both genders, care about the politics of their partner, whereas in like 1980, no one cared at all. Relatively brief period in recent history. Yeah, things have ever since COVID changed everything. We're in the post-COVID era now. And it'll never ever be the same. Come on, where's my, there we go. I was thinking post World War II. Yeah, I guess you could make that case as well, but in like the past 5 years or so, it's become like crazy. I agree with you that things haven't necessarily gotten more political. For me personally, I've been interested in politics since age 11. There's not really been much of a change for me. I went to my first protest rally when I was 12. Poor Dad got dragged along. Yeah, that's definitely popular among a certain subset of people. I'm of the opinion that the real change is going to take place with the law, and I think a lot of protests and stuff end up getting like hijacked and then redirected towards things other than the goal that they're trying to accomplish. All right, hopefully this will give a speed up improvement as well. Protests seem like kind of a microcosm of political difficulty all their own. Yeah, I've had my first movements are hard to keep coherent. Yeah, I've had my first experience with some of that in with trying to advocate for my own interest in housing here. Like there did a push to get a rent eviction bylaw and stuff, and that has really opened my eyes to how there's so much more going on. I think I may do a video on it eventually, but there's foreign interference going on, and there's lots of chaos and people fighting with each other, and it's so much more complex than just being hey, let's talk to the city, and they will hear what we have to say and do something about it and act in a very reasonable way. That's not how it is at all. Excellent. It is still getting faster by just a little bit. That's a very good sign. Harmonizing differing interests and motivations can be difficult, but not impossible. I actually think, in my opinion, I think the modern problem is not even about it's one problem if you have a diverse group of people that you want to align them together. But I think it's another. I think things. I think there's a lot more big money and foreign state actors that are actually interfering with all this stuff too. So you can have people with genuine political opinions who maybe want to go in a different direction, and then other people that are actual state actors with a specific military objective that are getting entangled in this stuff too. So that's another dimension that I don't think is appreciated by the participants of activists. If you read about the big stink, I have not. Also, arguably the most important thing we can do as people. could somewhat counteract that by building strong communities. Yeah, I think that's really the only way to inoculate against that. But then if you try to do that, people will say that you're a fascist. That's this new word that I never heard. It's kind of weird. I never heard anyone call anyone a fascist. And I never even knew what it was. And then suddenly, like in the last year or so, the latest meme is to call everyone a fascist. My thing is building strong communities. And I'm very much anti-fascist. You know, I was thinking of, like, that's one of those words where I hear it and I'm like, I should probably know what that word means. So I read the Wikipedia article on it. And then, it can mean like 10 different things. And there's like different types of fascism. And it's made me think, wouldn't anti-fascism also be a type of fascism? Not really any historical precedent for how fractured, vulnerable our picture is of the world right now. Yeah, I agree. It's not a meme, it's an accurate characterization of many political actors. How so? About anti-fascism being a type of fascism? That's why every time I look up the word, I'll go to Wikipedia, and there's like 10 different. There's like a religious. You can have fascism. That's a religious component of fascism, and there's like all these different subtypes. But it seems like the core definition is around identifying with your nation, which in a way is just like it's kind of the biggest community that you can belong to other than the world. Just something that often goes hand in hand. That's just something that often goes hand in hand with fascism. Fascism has 14 specific features. Oh, that's a lot. Cult of tradition, rejection of modernism, action for action's sake, disagreement is treason, fear of difference. So, is that like those 14 features? Does everyone who uses the word fascism agree on those? Because that's one of the major issues I have with when people use those words. Because if everyone knows, if as soon as you say the word fascism, if people automatically think, oh yeah, the 14 specific features. But I have a feeling that most people who use it have no idea. Like, this is a legit field of study with experts. Appeal to frustrated middle class. Obsession with the plot. I mean, I like traditions. I like traditions. When I was a kid, we had a tradition where you get to open one Christmas present on Christmas Eve. But I hope that doesn't make me a fascist, because I like to open Christmas presents. Now, a cult of fashion, I don't know, a cult of tradition, I'm not sure. I guess that means like a originally following tradition. Action for action's sake. Yeah, I guess if you're like wasting resources. I mean, sometimes just forming like habits and things like that is can be useful. It depends. I don't know. It's hard to critique some of these. Disagreement is treason. That's it's definitely not a good thing. I think it's not a hard and fast thing. It's more like, it's like the more of those things somebody has, the more it's fascist. Yeah, that's one of the things that where like the way that we run and govern society is like super important. So I feel like, for the higher up you go, for the more global the rules you're talking about for society are, the more specific things should be. And it's not really good when we have when we talk about political discourse and we use these like imprecise rules that not everyone agrees on, because then someone might be like, hey, I like opening Christmas presents on Christmas Eve. I'm a fascist. And then people start arguing about it. These were outlined in seminal 1995 essay by Umberto Eco, widely agreed upon by scholars. I think you need to do some reading on modern fascist movements. The neo-Nazi movement, and start with ones in your area. You'll see how these features are played out. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like when I walking around here, I see posters that are like pro-communism, like they're literally promoting like the Communist Party of Canada, and they have like the hammer and sickle logo on it and stuff, and they're like super anti-Trump and stuff. Those are the movements that I see brewing around here. It's not about Christmas presents. Oh, that's good. I'm not a fascist then. I bet the Toronto Fash are very goofy. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Canada seems very like I have trouble even just like describing and articulating. It's like the mood, like the social mood here. Like I went down to I went down to grab lunch the other day, and there was like an African culture festival. So we have I guess this is just within the last year or so, we have a very large increase in the population from Africa here. And they had like a bunch of Jamaican music, and they had a huge table where they were selling marijuana directly in front of City Hall, which I thought was kind of amusing. It's funny how far things have gone since when I grew up. The police came around, and they came to our school and they talked to us like the dangers of marijuana, and it'll like destroy your lungs and stuff. And then as soon as they legalized it, I got like a pamphlet from the government that's like, hey, you can buy this from us now. And now they sell it right in front of City Hall. Canada has the very fine publication Druthers. My friends are always laughing about it. Druthers. I never heard of that. Is that's like a political thing, or? Pronounced as truthers. Okay. In Canada, they have a publication. Some people pay for it to be delivered to their neighbors. Is that a supposed like a fascist publication or something? I think it would be cool if we could just get like a mainstream political party that had a reasonable economic vision for the future. That's asking too much. But I want it. I want to have economic productivity. And houses. And parks that have no litter in them. I want houses and healthcare for all. But what if there was a fascist party that promised you that? Would you vote for them? It wouldn't happen. They want the weak to die. But what if they just remove that one thing? What if they said, well, we'll do just a little bit of fascism, but we'll get houses and healthcare also for the weak. And then they'll say it's mandatory. Everyone has to open at least one present on Christmas Eve. And if you don't, it's treason. They promise that every time. Then the gulag's open. But if they promise hard enough, then maybe it'll be different this time. Yeah, hopefully it doesn't come to all that, and we could just instead of having insane policies, we could have good ones. See, that's why somebody needs to step up to the plate and just go for the whole, full world domination. It's funny you're using Christmas present thing, as I actually opted out of Xmas completely a few years ago. Oh, that's too bad. Yeah, actually, same here. I spent the last 5 Christmases working. It's kind of gone by the wayside. The last few years I celebrate Christmas usually after. Usually when flights are cheaper, a couple weeks later. Right. That did not break everything. Nice. Now, hopefully, this will be even faster. Can stop working in 30 minutes. Friday afternoon. Oh yeah, it's you're on the other side of the world. I guess it's Friday just started 1 hour and 6 minutes ago here. What do you get up to on the weekends? I do basically the same thing on the weekends that I do during the week. I work on whatever thing I'm working on, which currently is the next video during the day, and then in the evening I end up working on this. Going to see some friends for a meal. Stream some movies. Nice. Yeah, meeting up with an old friend and like going to get it's the best feeling to meet up with someone you haven't seen in a while and then have like do you ever have like 3-hour long sushi meals and then where you just sit there and talk about stuff for a whole afternoon and then go for a walk in the park? I'm not sure if that's faster. It's not slower, that's good. Oh, let's test if I think I can make those private now, which I guess I should have done that to begin with, but now does that compile? Yep, sometimes it turns into 5 hours. Yeah, those are the best good old friend catch-ups. Where you go for a meetup and go from one random you talk so long that it's like by the time you're done at the restaurant, it's time to go to like another restaurant and have another meal. Wish I had friends closer. Closest is 30 minutes away. She doesn't drive. Yeah, that's why, like I said before, but the ideal human condition is to be like, to live 200 feet away from friends, or between, yeah, I don't know, 200 and like 500 feet away from friends. That way you can, like, when something happens, you can just go down and knock on the door and be like, hey, did you hear that thing happened? Hello, Robert. What book would you recommend for learning C++ from scratch? Personally, I don't really read any books. I think there's a couple famous. There's like the K and RC. There's a famous K and RC book from a long time ago. That's probably. Yeah, I guess if you want to learn it from actual scratch, go back to the beginning of the language. I forget what the title is. If you just look for like famous K and RC book, you'll probably find it. My school starts on September 2nd. I'm so cooked, I forgot everything. Don't worry, once you go back, you'll remember everything. I'd really love living in a proper community. I just want to go for a walk with friends every day and have a chat while we stroll. When I first moved at home, lived in a community like that, almost everyone in our street knew each other. We'd hang out constantly. Yeah, that's the way human life is supposed to be. We're not supposed to be in condos where we don't know any of our neighbors and no one speaks English. We need I don't know how to I don't know how to go back to the way things were. Programming principles and practice using C++. Bjorn Struvstrup. Yeah, Bjorn would be. He's the guy who. Yeah, I guess that would probably be one of the first C++ ones. But I guess the one I was thinking of was that was probably a C book. Yeah, that makes sense because K and RC. That would go back to like the beginnings of C, and there's probably some examples there that don't even compile anymore. Can't go back. We can only go forward, but we could go forward in a way that represents progress and improves everyone's happiness and enjoyment of life. Now let's see if making those methods members private changes the runtime. That'll be interesting if it does. I wouldn't be surprised if there is some kind of optimization. I guess the compiler would probably have to think about less cases. Okay, now still compiles. Probably not if you have. It depends what compiler you're using and what flags. Probably generates a lot of warnings now. I think wealth inequality had a huge effect on our ability to have communities of old. There's wealth inequality. A lot of it is also just like it's literally illegal. Like if I just stand up right now and like, you know what, I'm gonna go do it, and if I had the money, and I just walk over there and I say I'm gonna build a bunch of buildings, and we'll have a community, and we'll have a nice little cute like store where kids will go and buy penny candy and hang out and talk to the shopkeeper, and then the kid will be like, "Hey sir, can I have some free penny candy?" And be like, "Okay, this time, but not next time. If you do that, the government will come in and be like, nope, that's illegal. You cannot build this. It's a violation of this zoning regulation." I'm sure if you compile with wall and river, it'll break. Yeah, I always compile with wall. If you're a proper rich property developer, you could absolutely do it. If you had the money to lobby to change the zoning regulations. And even doing that takes tremendous amounts of time. I saw a clip today of someone talking about a developer saying like he bought a piece of property in 2019 and it took until like this year to be able to actually build on it. Huh. That made it slower when the method's private. Let's run that again and then see if it is slow again. It's only us at the bottom who get stopped by the government. You're thinking on a microscopic scale. People from the corporal I work at really love their open space, coffee machines, and surface level deep relationships. Sometimes I think I'm living in a simulation of the movie Office Space. Yeah. We live in a strange world that's getting stranger by the day. The government gives zoning exemptions to property developers here. Yeah, and I think it's also even among property developers. Like even if you have a few million or something, that's probably not even enough. You got to be like, I think it's not necessarily even just money. It's also like there are certain webs of influence and stuff. Like I mean, a perfect example is I'm from the Maritimes. Well, I mean, first, like if you talk about like the elite class and like people who are in the in group, the political in group and stuff, you think like, oh, it's all like people who are connected to Trump or the president or whatever, like way up at the top. But I think in certain jurisdictions, there's certain like just influential local people that you've never heard of that are not like internationally recognized, and they happen to have a lot of influence in the planning commissions and stuff. Like in the Maritimes, the Irving Oil Company. They used to be, I think they still are, they used to be super influential, and they owned like the wood mill there, and they owned like newspapers and stuff, and they owned like a ton of they have the oil refinery. They owned like basically all the businesses there. And like outside of the Maritimes, no one has heard of Irving. But when I was growing up, they were basically like, the one example of like the most successful business ever that I knew of. And they would do all kinds of shady stuff to get like privileged access to crown land, and they basically ran the place. And I think there's tons of examples of that everywhere. Like if you go to any random state or town or something. Wow, that's interesting. That's slower when I make it private. Let's make it public again. You have to be one of the big boys, and we're donating big bucks. Yeah, I think, and even even that, I think, like it's not just about a one-time payment. I think you have to be part of the in club of whoever's making the rules. Isn't Canada huge AF? Okay, you just go homesteading. I mean, there have been cases of like, even on like reservations, where like the native population are supposed to have like privileged use of the land, where they like, this woman like built a house with her own two hands. There's been a bunch of cases like that, where people just try to build their own houses, and the government comes in, they're like, nope, you can't do that because this does not comply with this thing. And then they make them tear it down. So if this goes down again, I'm going to be kind of surprised. So I did once. So it was, I think, 123. It was 123 a few times when they were public. Then I made them private. And I got two times, so 128 and 129 with private members. So if this goes back down to 123-ish, I'm going to be surprised. That would be a strange observation. I don't know why a public member would be faster than a private member. New housing supply is artificially limited to jack up the prices. Purely engineering speaking, we could build faster and cheaper, and even keeping acceptable using prefabrication. It seems like the supply of everything is artificially limited now. And most concerning is like doctors and stuff, medical professionals. The gatekeeping and insurance scamming in that industry is like, it's getting out of control now. There's enough housing. I don't know. If they have enough, they should give me one. Give me a few houses. Oh, look at that. It went back down to 123. I'm gonna have to look into that. So making the member public makes the program faster. Very strange. Land is enclosed by people like Robert's landlord. It's a big problem. Instead of being owned by the people who use it. Yeah, there's well, there's lots to say on the topic, but anyway, I'm actually an hour past my usual cutoff time, but I got all of those references to be all of those members so that I can make them public. I would like to make them private members, but I'm gonna have to research why those members are, why this makes the program slower when I make it private. That's dumb. Very strange. All right, I'll leave it there for tonight, and I guess we'll be back tomorrow night for day 127. All right, talk to you later, guys.